W5.
They started searching my bag. That's when everything went wrong.
A cruel con leaves an innocent woman facing hard time.
I wasn't aware that I even had drugs on me.
She's looking at serious jail time.
I felt like life was pulled out of me.
As friends and family rally to free her.
There wasn't anything that I could do.
There's a lot of leads.
I don't even have a name in here. I'm a number.
Here is Avery Haynes.
Welcome to a special edition of W5 from Hong Kong, where we're following the trail of a small-town Canadian grandmother imprisoned here for almost 9 months and facing decades behind bars. Susanna Thayer was arrested at the airport, accused of being a drug smuggler. She says she's the innocent victim of an elaborate and sophisticated romance scam. And now a twist that has shocked legal experts here and one that has altered the course of Susanna's life.
There's 16 of us in one cell. I have a chill that goes up my spine every time they close the cell door.
Susanna Thayer has been languishing in a Hong Kong prison for almost 9 months.
I don't even have a name in here. I'm a number. My number is Yatsei Ling Ling Ling, which means 14000.
It's an unlikely place for this small-town Canadian grandmother who's never traveled and never before broken the law.
My 8-year-old granddaughter and my 5-year-old grandson. They are what stopped me from even contemplating suicide.
The crime this 65-year-old is accused of committing could keep her behind bars for the rest of her life.
I was arrested for trafficking. That was a crusher.
For the first time ever, Susanna Thayer is telling her story of how she was burned twice in a romance scam with an unbelievable twist, one that has landed her in jail 12,000 kilometers from home. It all started when her husband, a police officer, died in 2016. He was the only man Susanna had ever been with, and she was admittedly naive.
4 years after my husband passed away, some guy ended up coming onto my Facebook asking to be a friend. He seemed like a very nice guy, and before you know it, he was telling me that he was in love with me and was saying the nicest things that just melted your heart.
What did that feel like to have somebody tell you how beautiful you were, tell you that they were in love with you?
It gives you a high. That's the best way to put it, I think.
The man was quite the catch. This is his profile photo. He said he was an American neurosurgeon working for the United Nations somewhere overseas. He said he was the same age as Susanna and that he too was widowed. No matter where Susanna went, she was glued to her phone, texting with the man she called the good doctor, a man who lavished her with love. What kinds of promises was he making to you?
He said he just wanted to be with me forever. He said he wanted to take me around the world and just love me and be with me, and that's all he wanted.
To prove it, he said, the military was preparing the paperwork to make them husband and wife. How did you believe that you were then married to him, because you'd never met him?
At that point, I was deeply in love with him, and I wasn't thinking straight, okay? To be honest, I do believe that they do use mind control.
The good doctor said he couldn't access his bank accounts overseas and needed help with his taxes and to pay for a military leave so he could come and see her. Susanna dipped into her savings, and when that was gone, took out loans. And then she asked her adult children for money. Her son and daughter Angela became suspicious. And you all, as kids, are wondering, why does she need all this money? When did you realize that the money that she needed was tied to this guy that she had met?
My sister was saying something like, well, she just asked me for $1,500. I ended up responding of, why is she asking for money when she just got a loan?
They called the police, who confirmed that Dr. Williams Walter was a fake. The photo was stolen, and Susanna's money was gone for good. How much money did you give him?
Altogether, I believe it was $205,000 by the end.
For you to say that now, that you gave him $205,000, what does that feel like?
Foolish.
Humiliated and brokenhearted, Susanna moved into her daughter Angela's guest bedroom, where she slept next to a photo of her late husband. All she could think about was how to stop other women from making the same mistake. Tell me a little bit about your decision to write this book.
I figured if I could even just save one person, the book was worth it.
She wrote out her story in longhand, describing in detail how she was sucked in. You're still online?
Yes.
And you meet another man?
Yeah, his name was James Kaywood, or that's who he said he was. The major difference with him is he started calling me. And he talked to me on a regular basis on the phone. So I thought, okay, there's got to be some legitimacy. And, you know, he seemed like a nice guy, and he was being very courteous to what I was trying to do.
James Kaywood used this photo and claimed to be an American military commando stationed in Asia. Susanna would email him transcripts of her book about getting scammed, and he would encourage her writing.
At one point he goes, I'm working on a surprise for you. I'm gonna bring you over here, is what he said.
Before she knew it, she was sent this airline ticket. Destination, Ethiopia in East Africa. Was there any part of you that thought, this just doesn't seem right? This guy that I've never met is flying me halfway around the world, and he's picking up the tab?
Actually, no, because I did believe in my heart that God might have been giving me a miracle.
You just wanted an adventure.
I just wanted an adventure.
Susanna, who had never traveled out of Canada before, embarked on an adventure that would go terribly wrong. She arrived in the capital of Addis Ababa on August 12th, 2022.
I said, if nothing else, if nothing does transpire between him and I, at least I can thank him for everything that he's done, because he's helped me with my book, he's given me this flight, and he's given me the confidence.
A driver was waiting at the airport, and Susanna was taken to a hotel where the staff seemed to expect her. Even the manager welcomed her.
I felt like a princess, a queen, quite honestly. And I was shown to a room. I freshened up, went downstairs.
But James, the man she hoped to finally meet in person, wasn't downstairs. Where was James? You were supposed to be meeting James in Addis, right?
Well, James did tell me when he did call me that he said he'll be a couple of days behind me, but he will meet me at the hotel.
James Kaywood called Susanna the next day and the next, saying he was waiting for his replacement before he could join her. The days turned to weeks.
I'd go for walkabouts, and I'd even tell the person at the front desk, and I says, if James asks, shh, he doesn't know.
Why did you not want him to know that you were out walking?
Because he didn't want me to go anywhere. He wanted me to stay in the hotel.
He asked you to stay in the hotel.
But that's not me. I can't do that.
Susanna would spend her days either in the hotel cafe or exploring. She texted her daughter photos of her outings.
While I was waiting, I was enjoying part of Africa.
She never did meet James, but was occasionally visited by these two men who claimed to be his associates. Susanna shot this video when they took her to get a COVID test.
A lot of cars for sale, by the looks of it, too.
3 weeks passed, and Susanna's Ethiopian visa was about to expire. And then James dropped another surprise. He was flying her somewhere else, Hong Kong.
I said, "Why are you sending me to Hong Kong?" He says, "Because that's where I'm going to be."
Hours before her flight, the man who had been checking up on her for James came to the hotel bearing a strange gift. This suitcase filled with new clothes. The man took this photo of Susanna wearing one of the presents.
I felt like, wow, I was still feeling like a princess.
The flight from Ethiopia to Hong Kong took 11 hours. How were you feeling as you were landing in Hong Kong?
I was very excited. I thought, geez, at least now I'm going to meet him, because I really honestly thought he was going to show up here.
Susanna collected her suitcase at the baggage carousel and headed for the exit. And then something happened that would change everything.
Bag broke. Two of the women helped me put it together, and I said, "Well, where am I supposed to go? I don't know where I'm going." And she says, "Well, you can go this way." So they scanned the bag, and then the next thing I know, they started searching my bag. And that's when everything went wrong.
12,000 kilometers away in Barrie, Ontario, Susanna's daughter Angela was tracking her mother on a GPS phone app. She could see that the flight had landed.
So I texted her a bunch of times, "Where are you? What's going on?" I was checking every half hour just to, see where she was. And then find my location disappeared. And then I kind of started to panic.
Angela had no way of knowing that her mother was being detained by airport customs. This is the handwritten report of what they found when they went through her suitcase. The English translation details the discovery of circular large buttons and abnormally heavy dresses. It describes how they used a sharp-tipped spike to poke inside the buttons. What did they find inside your luggage?
Cocaine in buttons of dresses, in the dresses that were apparently a gift to me.
Did you have any idea that there was cocaine in those buttons?
I didn't even know there was buttons, let alone cocaine.
At what moment did you realize, oh my God, I have been scammed again? And this time it's going to cost me more than just money.
When the handcuffs finally went on and I was arrested for trafficking.
This small-town grandmother was given the full drug trafficker treatment, charged, hooded, and paraded in front of the cameras.
When they threw that hood over my head, they didn't even tell me they were doing it. I just felt like I was being kidnapped. To this day, I felt like I was kidnapped.
Coming up,
I was afraid I was going to die in jail.
hope fades as time passes
She's never coming home. I'll never see my mom again.
when W5 continues.
Hong Kong is best known for its sky-high towers, lively markets, and harbor views. But one Canadian woman who's been here for 9 months hasn't seen any of that. In fact, Susanna Thayer hasn't seen much more than the inside of this prison. She claims to be an unwitting victim of a romance scam. Police say she's a criminal, a drug trafficker. What was the conversation like when you had to call your daughter, Angela, and tell her what happened?
One of the hardest things I had to do. And I said, "I'm sorry." I said, "I didn't know." And I felt terrible. Also, it was so embarrassing to think that, oh my God, I've been conned again.
Hong Kong police issued this news release with photos of a hooded Susanna Thayer and of the buttons from the clothes inside her suitcase. 262 buttons that were filled with more than 1 kilo of cocaine. Susanna was transported to the Tai Lam Correctional Institute, a maximum security prison for women.
I was afraid I was going to die in jail.
and never see my family again.
That fear was also being felt on the other side of the world, in Canada.
I was just thinking, oh my God, she's never coming home. I'll never see my mom again.
And so her distraught daughter Angela made a decision. She would go to Hong Kong to visit her mother in prison. W5 documented her lengthy journey from Barrie, Ontario.
We're about 15 minutes away from the prison. How are you feeling?
Mixed of emotions. I feel like I want to cry. It's also exciting. At the end of this week, I get to go home, and she won't be able to.
Okay,
See you
good luck.
soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Angela walked into prison knowing she would only get one 15-minute visit each day. Those minutes inside felt like seconds.
What was the first thing that she said to you?
I love you, and I'm sorry. I bawled. I cried. I couldn't stop crying. I just wanted to hug her. It hurt to see her on that side, and there wasn't anything that I could do.
The next day, Angela made the journey back to prison for her second 15-minute visit. And then a devastating phone call that changed everything.
So basically, I can't see my mom the rest of the week. All right, thank you. Bye.
What happened?
COVID.
What?
Someone has COVID in the prison. My mom was close contact, so now she's in quarantine. So it means I can't see her the rest of this week.
I mean, you've traveled so far for 15 minutes.
If I can't see her, I just want to go home.
When you found out that you would not be able to have a second visit, but Angela is here in Hong Kong, but not able to see you, what did that do to you?
Killed me. I felt like life was pulled out of me. They didn't want me to see my girl.
Angela traveled 12,000 kilometers for one 15-minute visit with her mother. She flew back to Canada, and our investigation began.
What's she looking at for time?
Well, she's looking at serious jail time.
We wanted to find out from Hong Kong lawyer Michael Arthur just what Susanna was up against in her criminal case.
If someone is stopped at the airport with drugs coming into Hong Kong, prosecuting authorities say that's a strong prima facie case that that person was carrying drugs.
We don't care about whether they knew.
No. And no matter how often they say, but I've been scammed or I didn't know, sorry, we've got a case here, this must be prosecuted.
I'm actually doing some video.
There is key evidence in Ethiopia that could help Susanna prove that she was tricked.
You need to try.
Yeah.
There's this video she took of the men who were associated with James Kaywood. And security cameras at this hotel might have captured the person delivering the drug-filled suitcase. Our repeated requests for police in Ethiopia to investigate have been ignored. And so we've come here to a seedy part of Hong Kong to meet a man who's made a name for himself helping women like Susanna.
These people are usually vulnerable, lonely, economically in need, easily tricked sort of people, and they are targeted, unfortunately, by the big fish, as I call them.
He isn't a detective or a private eye. 77-year-old John Wotherspoon is a Catholic priest, prison chaplain,
and the man behind a global campaign called No More Mules. Through his charity, Mercy Hong Kong, Father John advocates on behalf of unsuspecting drug mules in Hong Kong prisons. Sometimes he even helps investigate and collect evidence for their trials.
What do you think the odds are of ever finding the people who set up Susanna?
Good question. Maybe not big odds, but there's a lot of leads. 17 to Kuala Lumpur.
The timing for Susanna couldn't be better. Father John is about to embark on an 8-country tour, warning about the dangers of smuggling drugs into Hong Kong. And one of his stops is Ethiopia. He's agreed to take on Susanna's case and try to collect evidence while he's there.
We know the room where she stayed. We know that guy, the date, the time, he traveled a number of times to that hotel. So we're hoping that sort of information can lead to an arrest.
Weeks later, Father John arrives in the capital, Addis Ababa. We've connected him with W5 freelance journalist Samuel Getachew in the hopes they can track down the hotel surveillance video.
If we could get the CCTV.
Together, they approach hotel management.
If you're agreeable, maybe we don't need the police permission. If you're agreeable to help us.
No, she
said it's a must.
The answer is no. And so we bombarded anyone who would listen with requests for help, including Ethiopian police and the Canadian consulate. Eventually, a breakthrough. The police agree to direct the hotel to hand over the surveillance footage. For Susanna's daughter, Angela, back in Canada, it's the first piece of good news in months.
It was a major breakthrough because that was like the key puzzle to really proving my mother's innocence and capturing who the real bad guy was.
But then, yet another blow to Susanna's case. That video was mysteriously deleted by someone at the hotel.
And I was really angry that they could do that.
What reason would they have for deleting it?
Well, if they're deleting it, they got something to hide.
It's unlike anything I've ever seen or investigated before, for sure.
Detective Sergeant Chris Nicholson is a fraud investigator in Angela's hometown of Barrie, Ontario. Even though it's well beyond the scope of a municipal police agency, Detective Nicholson took a full report from Angela and reached out to police in Ethiopia. He requested the hotel surveillance hard drive be sent to him in the hopes his cyber team might be able to restore those deleted files.
It was a very troubling response that I received from the police service.
What were they asking?
They were asking for a cash payment in order for it to be released.
Wait, so the police in Ethiopia are saying to you, give us money and we'll give you the hard drive?
That's correct, yeah. I'm not prepared to be blackmailed into getting a piece of evidence.
So the hopes of getting the hard drive are dead.
I had to stomach that I would never get this security footage. So I had hit a giant dead end.
And so Detective Nicholson hoped his words might help set Susanna free.
This was just a last-ditch effort for me to try to hopefully reach somebody's ears.
This is that last-ditch effort, a letter that he sent to the Canadian consulate in Hong Kong, believing it might then be shared with the prosecutor involved in Susanna's case.
Just a couple paragraphs on what romance scams are, and here is Susanna. And when you hold Susanna beside the romance scam prototype, if you will, it's a perfect match.
So you recognize that you're never going to catch the people who did this to Susanna, but maybe you can play a role in helping her get out of prison.
Yeah, my number one priority became getting her released from prison and then having her come home safely.
And then the unexpected.
On the 270th day of your incarceration, everything changed.
It did, 100%. I couldn't believe it.
Coming up.
So they told you if you want to speak to your family, you have to do this interview with us without a lawyer.
Exactly.
An interrogation with suspicious intent.
I signed it only because I was told I had to sign it.
When W5 continues.
65-year-old Susanna Thayer has been held in a Hong Kong prison for almost 9 months on drug trafficking charges. Her request to be released on bail was denied because of what the prosecution said was strong evidence against her. And then our first documentary on Susanna's ordeal, The Cocaine Buttons, aired.
When you first heard what your mom was accused of, what went through your mind?
I'm never gonna see my mom again.
It racked up millions of views on YouTube, including in Hong Kong legal circles. Shortly after, Susanna was, out of the blue, summoned to this courthouse.
They had no warning at all, and she had no warning either. It's all happened very fast.
It's kind of head spinning, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Hong Kong lawyer Michael Arthur, who has been closely involved in Susanna's plight, says with no reason given, the case against her was dropped.
How unusual is it for a drug smuggling charge to be dropped like this before it even goes to trial?
Very unusual. What I want to know is what changed between the time that the prosecution said the evidence against her was strong and when the case was dropped. Something must have happened. All I can conclude, and I don't really know, is that they watched your program. I think it put some pressure on them.
Oh my God.
270 days after arriving in Hong Kong.
This is beautiful.
Susanna Thayer is finally able to see the city she feared she'd never leave.
The wake of the boats, air on your face. It's like a dream.
I didn't know I would ever see you a free woman.
I can't get over it because I believe you had a major role in helping me get free. They don't even know why. Why all of a sudden did they say I'm free?
Has it sunk in, Susanna, that this is over, this is done, you're going home?
Not 100%, I don't think. I think once I'm on the plane and I touch down in Canada, it's gonna be a completely different world again.
It hasn't really sunk in either for Father John Wotherspoon, the prison chaplain who tried to get evidence in Ethiopia and repeatedly visited Susanna behind bars.
What the heck? I can't believe it.
You look well.
I'm here.
It's hard to believe this has happened.
Oh my God, when I was told at 9:30 that I was gonna be discharged.
Hey, Mom.
How are you?
I'm good. You're free? You're good.
I'm actually free, yes. They let me go this morning. They dropped my case completely. It's not a dream, okay? It's not a dream. I thought it was a dream too, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, this is real. I love you. It's like, wow, like really? I'm out.
Father John has arranged for Susanna to stay here while the final paperwork to get her back to Canada is completed. It's not fancy, but then again, it's not prison.
What was that like when you opened your eyes and realized you weren't in jail?
I went outside onto the balcony, and this bird literally came and perched itself near me and just started singing as if it was talking to me. And it was like so beautiful.
Susanna is making the most of her newfound freedom, but the memories of prison are still so fresh.
I was Yahtzee Ling Ling Ling, 14000, which was my inmate number. They strip you of all your identity in there. And I felt like I deserted my family. It was like I was dead. Because when you're in jail, time has no meaning.
There's anger, too. Some of it stems from what happened here at the Hong Kong airport when she was first arrested. Susanna says she was kept here and interrogated for days before being charged. We have the videotape of the final interrogation.
How do you feel about watching it?
Scared, nervous, because it was just before they charged me with trafficking.
The interrogation video lasts for 97 minutes. On the surface, it seems fairly standard.
Please state your name and your passport number.
My name is Susanna Thayer, and I don't know my passport number without looking at it. I'm sorry.
But just a few minutes in, it becomes clear that Susanna felt pressured to speak without a lawyer.
Did you agree to conduct this video interview in the absence of your legal representative?
I would prefer not to, however, you told me I have to, so.
So
I'm answering it honestly.
So they told you if you want to speak to your family, you have to do this interview with us without a lawyer.
Exactly.
And in the interrogation video, Susanna reveals that she felt coerced into signing some documents.
Please recognize this one.
Yes, I did sign that. However, I signed it only because I was told I had to sign it in order to continue the process so I could make a phone call, which I never was allowed.
So you recognize this?
I do recognize this, even though I disagree with being charged with something that I had no knowledge of.
Over the course of an hour and a half, Susanna tells her story of being conned, and she repeatedly proclaims her innocence.
I wasn't aware that I even had drugs on me in my bag. I did not know they were in the buttons of the tops.
At one point, they bring out the contents of her suitcase and put it on the table.
Is it marking?
My head was just whirling at that point.
I'm sure.
Can you recognize this one?
No, quite honestly, I don't remember seeing any of them, okay?
Okay.
All I saw was some bright colors. That was it.
When they started pulling out these dresses and then the bag of buttons, what's going through your mind?
I can't believe this. This can't be happening. You know what the ironic thing is I don't like buttons. Look at any of my clothes I brought. Did I have buttons? Do I have buttons?
You say this.
I see it now, but I did not know of any of it.
I can see you getting more and more sort of irritated and combative.
Prior to them doing this videotape, they went through everything with me prior, and they spent hours interrogating me.
So there were two separate sort of interrogations, one without cameras and then this one with
Yes.
cameras.
Susanna says before the video camera was turned on, she was handcuffed to the chair and interrogated for 16 hours, all without a lawyer.
Did you have anything else you want to say to us?
I didn't do it.
Okay, does it?
I'm not a drug dealer. I was unaware. Maybe I'm still frickin' naive over because of what the guy did to me, the good doctor that I call him in my book. I don't know why. I believe people are honest. I'm a God's child, okay? I believe in God so much like you wouldn't believe. And I've been praying to him the last couple of days saying, like, what happened? What's wrong? Why did this happen? If you notice, I did say the last couple of days because that's how long I was there just before they charged me. I don't do bad things, but bad things seem to happen to me. Why? Why? That's the question.
Okay, the time now is 20:03, and the video record interview is finished.
When this was done, they put a bag over your head and took a photograph of you.
Yes.
What was that like when that bag went on?
I felt like I was a murderer. I wanted to collapse. And I think they were literally holding me up because my legs just went to jelly. I couldn't believe it.
We have questions for the Hong Kong Department of Justice. Why was Susanna denied a lawyer? And why was her case so suddenly dropped? Our request for an interview was turned down. Instead, we were sent this statement. The Department of Justice does not comment on individual cases. A prosecution would only be commenced if there is sufficient admissible evidence to demonstrate a reasonable prospect of conviction. Susanna wants answers and has sent this letter to the magistrate court in Hong Kong.
And it's from her home address in Canada.
Lawyer Michael Arthur has reviewed it.
She says she would like to know the exact date upon which it was decided to abandon the prosecution. In other words, was she still sitting in the prison while they had decided that there was going to be no case against her? Or was she serving time, if you like, there, which she ought not to have been serving?
And I'm guessing you as a lawyer would like to know, because it could help you in upcoming cases.
That would be quite right, if we knew the actual reason why they did it. But I'm not confident that we will ever get that.
Right now, all Susanna is focused on is getting back to Canada. With the immigration paperwork nearly complete, she scours the local markets for some last-minute gifts.
We're just so happy to see you on the outside. I'm sure Jane feels the same.
Yeah, it makes me feel that all our hard work is worth it.
Yep.
Father John and social worker Jane Chow dedicated vast amounts of time and energy to Susanna's case. They want to make sure that she doesn't get into trouble again.
You have to be careful now. Everybody's thinking now, please God, no more trouble. This is second time, no third time, no next time, no more times. Have to be careful of the internet. And
no online dating, please.
Oh God, no. That's taboo, even for me. I've already decided that in jail a long time ago. I've become a changed person.
Coming up,
Why do you think that some people in your family can't get past this?
a broken family not ready to forgive.
I always thought that they would back me up.
When W5 continues.
I'm in disbelief, quite honestly. I can't believe, for starters, that I'm actually on my way to the airport. I'm going home.
Susanna Thayer is returning to the airport in Hong Kong, where she lost her freedom so many months ago.
I'm going. In my heart, I don't know what's going to happen when I get to the airport. Am I going to see these security guards and these customs that put me in prison? Are they going to search me again?
12,000 kilometers away in Canada, her daughter Angela is filled with anticipation.
I can't believe this is real. Like, am I really gonna see my mom? It's over.
I go to Tokyo first.
Yeah.
Well, there's CX 548 there, so where do we go?
Volunteers with Father John's mission help Susanna navigate the sprawling Hong Kong airport.
Hello.
She hands over the paperwork that allows her to leave the country. And then a few tense moments as a supervisor is called over.
I was innocent, okay? They dropped the charges.
Oh, you have paid, right?
Pardon?
You have paid the fee for overstay, right?
Yeah. I was in jail because they locked me up and then they dropped the charges, so they let me go. So I'm trying to get home.
So maybe after checking, you just post it.
Yeah, I've got to go to immigration, right? Because this has to go to them too.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
Susanna makes it through immigration without incident. She's going home. 14 hours later, her daughter Angela pulls up to Toronto's Pearson Airport. At the arrivals hall, she scans the faces of passengers, searching for her mother.
Oh, is that my mama? Is that my mommy? I missed you so much. I missed you too. I'm so glad you're home. When you came in, I'm a little blind. I'm like, wait, Pink. I think that's Mommy. Is that Mommy? That's Mommy. Oh. I'm so happy you're home.
Firework! Mwah!
I'm happy you're back, Mama.
Susanna is back living in her daughter Angela's guest bedroom, trying to put her life back together.
How do you feel that you have changed after this unbelievable experience of being conned once, conned twice, turned into a drug mule, and then thrown in jail?
I'm more cautious now. I felt I was going to spend the rest of my life and die in jail. And so I'm happy that I'm able to sit here today. And that is the good ending to what happened to me.
It may have only been 9 months, but 9 months is a lifetime, you know, because life is precious.
Not everyone in Susanna's family has been able to forgive or forget.
One of the things that kept me going when I was in prison was knowing that I had family to come home to. And when you come home and you know that that family's not there, and that is something that's very hard.
Why do you think that some people in your family can't get past this?
I think it's because they feel like they're the victim, and them not even realizing that you're a victim of a crime, that you're the person who actually is the one that was hurt.
She's lost the support of some family members. She lost her life savings and, for 270 days, her freedom. But there's one thing Susanna has not lost.
Have you given up on the prospect of finding the healthy love in your life?
No. I hope there's someone out there that truly believes in me for who I am, respects me for who I am, and can love me for who I am.
2 months after returning from Hong Kong, Susanna is going out on a first date with a real man.
We're gonna go fishing. Now this is freedom.
Yes, isn't this wonderful? You're doing great. All right. You're a natural. And I'm legit.
I love it.
I'm legit. There's still some good guys out there.
I'd love to be able to say I love you to someone with my heart and them give that to me in return, because you don't have anything if you don't have love.
If you missed our first investigation, The Cocaine Buttons, you can watch it on W5's official YouTube channel.